Hey everyone, it's Unishek here, and welcome to a Halo Infinite development update. Today we're going to be talking about the recent tech preview with a live producer, Sam Hanshaw, and then we're going to be jumping on board with Sketch and Joseph Staten to hear more about the road to launch. Before we dive into it though, I want to preface that we won't have any new gameplay, but we will have a ton of good information to talk about. So with that housekeeping out of the way, Sam, how's it going?
Pretty well, to be honest. Really excited to talk about what we learned during the tech preview. I think the fans were pretty excited to get their hands on the game, and so probably equally excited to find out what we learned from them getting their hands on the game.
So, tech preview went out. We thought it was pretty darn successful. From your perspective, how'd it go?
Yeah, it was a success. We had some problems along the way getting there, but it's important to have those kinds of problems because those are the things that we want to address now rather than have them crop up as a surprise at launch.
Yeah, and that's kind of why we started testing at such a large scale already so early.
So this was obviously our first big scale flight we've done. It was a global release to hundreds of thousands of people, and those people did over 1 million bot matches, and they also participated in weapon drills over 2 million times. And probably most importantly for me is they filed thousands of support tickets.
Yeah, and that's good to hear because we want player feedback not only about the game, but also on the state of the game so that we can continue to improve and iterate on the road to launch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And kind of speaking of those learnings, right, that we're getting from those tickets, overall, what were some of the key learnings from the flight?
Sure. So we know we had a lot of pain around getting into the flight initially. So we know we had some issues on the Halo Insider side that we're working on. We also had some problems getting in through the Xbox Insider Hub on console, and we've been working in close partnership with the Xbox Insider Hub team, and we're working on some solutions to that and ways that we can mitigate that for the future.
So on top of Waypoint and Xbox Insider, we also got a lot of feedback around the PC and console kind of optimization and how it ran on those machines. Do you have any info you can share there?
Yeah, so starting off with PC, this was our first time flying to so many different hardware configurations, and we uncovered some issues. One of the things that was pretty painful for everyone was we had like a misconfiguration in how the EXE was running, and that was resulting in about a 20% performance drop. That's been addressed on our side, and so for the next release, can expect at least a 20% improvement in performance. We also had specific problems with GTX 900 series graphics cards. These are things that come out when we have more people participating in the flights and things, and we get to see a lot more of the hardware configurations, so that's something that the PC team's working on actively. And as with all things with both PC and console, we're going to see a lot of performance boosts over the next couple of months. And a quick reminder to everyone that this build that we flighted for Tech Preview was about 2 months old. And so stepping back to kind of the trunk of development, it's like going in a time machine.
And since it was a 2-month-old build, right, we've already addressed numerous things with stability and loading issues, right? I know loading issues were a common thing in this flight.
Yeah, they were. We know that in addition to getting into the flight, getting into matches was a bit of a struggle. So match loading had some inconsistencies. Some folks would drop out of matchmaking every now and again. Some folks dropped out consistently. And while that did cause a lot of pain for folks, it also helped us get a lot of data so that we could address those issues. And going back to the main dev branch, we've had folks working on it, and now people are getting into matches super consistently.
So much, much better already.
Yeah.
Right. And we also have a new loading screen, I heard, right?
Yeah, that's true. There's nothing worse than getting kicked out of matchmaking, except getting kicked out of matchmaking when all you've had to look at is a black screen with 3 dots. So now we got some nice new loading screens for people to look at that they should be seeing for a lot less time than they saw the black screen too.
So nice new loading screen, but less time to actually see it.
Yeah.
So once people got in past the loading screen, we had bot matches for them and weapon drills for them, with a little bit of PvP for 2 hours. What was the reasoning behind choosing bots and weapon drills?
So the bots and the weapon drills are two key pieces of our new player onboarding. And so having players experience that for the first time in our first kind of public flight like this was really important, because we get that initial feedback of what it's like to pick up this game and learn it through the weapon drills and through bot play. One other thing that we get from flighting using the bot matches is we only have 4 people in each match. So we have to spin up a dedicated server for every 4 people who are on. So essentially, by doing this, we doubled our server strain for this audience size. So this increases our confidence for shipping and releasing to larger and larger audiences. So we know with the hundreds of thousands of people who we invited for this tech preview, when we did it with bots, that we can handle twice that many people at least with PvP.
That's really cool, actually. I remember people were talking about why bots, why weapon drills, so thank you for diving into that.
Oh, no problem, yeah. And I think that the bots kind of showed up well, you know? Mm-hmm. I know we got a lot of good comments and good feedback on how the bots behave, and a lot of the feedback that people gave, you know, that's being incorporated too.
Yeah, people were intimidated by the bots, which is really cool to see. Up next, we also had a few people talk about the Halo support site kind of closing down at the very end of the flight, right? Right as we cut off the flight, we also closed off the Halo support site. And I know that's something we were looking to change moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things where, like, in hindsight, it makes total sense. Everyone wants to play until the last minute of the flight, and when it closes down, they're going to head on over to file the bugs. They don't want to waste their flight time filing bugs. Mm-hmm. So now we're going to be keeping that support site open past the end of the flight, so that the people who were dedicated and playing the entire time, not wanting to dip out of any of the Halo action, they can file their bugs at the end. We do recommend that, you know, you keep a notebook, so that you've got your bugs fresh when they happen, because there's nothing worse than hitting some game-breaking bug and then forgetting about it 2 hours later because you've had too much fun playing Halo.
Too much fun playing Halo. No such thing. So looking ahead on the road to launch, what do we have next for flighting?
You can definitely expect another big-scale flight like this with even more people invited. We're going to include the same content that we had this time, the bots and the weapon drills, but we're also targeting a full release of 4v4 PvP action, and we want to go even bigger and have big team battle. So those are our targets for the next flight to come.
Nice. And then once we get to launch, we also have hopes, anticipations to flight features and content beyond, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This flighting program that we're kicking off now, obviously we're gearing it towards getting those bugs and that feedback for launch, but Halo Infinite is a game that's going to go on, and when we have new features that we want to test, we're going to do it in the same fashion. So we're setting up this program to be lasting through beyond launch.
Nice, yeah. So people need to make sure they're registered for the Halo Insider program over on Halo Waypoint so that they can participate in this upcoming big team battle flight, as well as the flights that we'll have beyond launch, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If you haven't signed up for Halo Insider profile and completed all of the steps, then why are you watching this video for?
Go do it.
Go do it.
So, Sam, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we wrap up our segment, did you have any closing words that you'd like to say to the community?
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Uni, for having me here. Thank you, people in the community, those who participated in the flight, those who've signed up for Halo Insider. Truly, like, this success is yours. And this is the beginning of our conversation with you, and we couldn't be happier to kick it off in this fashion. I also want to say a thanks to the folks who aren't in the studio today. Like, so many people worked on this tech preview to get it out to everyone, and they've been working hard on all the feedback and bugs that we got from this. So a huge thanks to, like, all those folks. I'm just a guy who gets to sit in a chair and talk about it, really, and the team deserves all the thanks in the world for delivering what they did to our players.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I do want to address that. We know that there's quite a few Halo players that want to know what happened to their feedback that they left on the forums, on Twitter, sent to the community team directly, and we will have a blog coming up on Waypoint here in the next few weeks. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And as always, make sure you're registered for the Halo Insider program so you can participate in these upcoming tech previews. Now we're going to toss it on over to Brian, aka Sketch, and Joseph Staten to hear more about Halo Infinite and the road to launch.
Hey everyone, Sketch here from 343 Industries. We are in the Hub at our studio in Redmond, Washington, and I am joined today by Halo Infinite's Head of Creative, Joseph Staten. Joseph,
Brian,
how you doing?
Good, I'm doing well. Thank you for inviting me to the Hub.
I mean, before we get too far ahead, I just want to call out serious deja vu right now, and interestingly enough, as I've been thinking about this more, I know you joined 343, kind of came back to Halo last fall, but this is the first time you and I have been kind of side by side talking about Halo together since 2009 with a little game that you were working on called Halo 3 ODST.
Oh, that's straight to the heart. That's right, man. That was a long time ago. Oh my gosh.
It was, and just to make sure we've all got a mental image of kind of what that was like back then and how far we've come, I found some B-roll that I kind of want to make sure the community had a chance to just remember the good old days. So let's take a quick look at that.
What if the phones rang?
Ah, yes. I think we know the phones did ring, right, Joseph?
Yeah.
And yes, of course, back then the community had a lot of fun in the early days of memery with that little freeze frame face. I want to point out though, 12 years later, I'm getting a very similar vibe from another recent meme our community created. I just want to give you a chance to check this out. I think you might have been the inspiration for this.
Yeah, I gotta say, I do befuddled very well. Just that.
Well, I mean, here we are again. 12 years later, things have changed. They kind of haven't though, right?
No, I mean, here we are, two grizzled ancients getting back together again, talking about Halo. But, Brian, fair's fair. I'm not the only one with 2009 archival footage sitting around. So let's take a little peek at that. Hey, and if I'm not mistaken, is that the same coat in that photo that you're wearing today?
What can I say?
We've defrosted you like Encino Man and brought you out.
It is. I mean, my hair has continued to grow, but I've been preserved in stasis. It's funny. This jacket's seen a lot of mileage. It's been around. Looking at that photograph.
Wait, sorry. Look at that photograph.
Oh, well played.
Yeah, the trap was just there and we sprung it.
Yes, you gotta love our community and the jokes, and yes, my hair has grown a lot. And
Brian, it looks fantastic. Not gonna lie, it looks good. Although I think the sad thing is, back in 2009, you had way less hair, and I had way more hair. So clearly, a good decade of game development will age you, or maybe not. Maybe not. Depends.
I don't know. I think you look pretty much the same.
Thanks,
It's
Brian.
Just that youthful vigor.
Yes, right.
Halo is life, right?
Yeah.
So, Joseph, let's just jump right into this. We just heard from Sam and John. As you know, we wrapped up our big, giant milestone for our first multiplayer tech preview. How do things go? What are your key takeaways from your perspective?
Well, first of all, I just got to say it was awesome to have thousands of people just jump in and play. Meaning, the team's been working on this game for a long time, but getting a whole bunch of players to jump in, see what we've been working on, check out new maps, mix it up with the bots, even get in a little bit of PvP, which was awesome. That excitement to see our fans having fun was just a huge emotional lift for everybody at 343. On the flip side, just getting honest, unvarnished feedback from fans, whether it was login bugs or posting detailed videos on YouTube, we just generated a ton of actionable feedback on things that we still needed to work on and parts of the game that were missing, that fans were curious about. And speaking of which, one of the things that people wanted to know about was split screen, right? I mean, playing Halo competitive multiplayer on a couch with your family and friends, split screen has always been a super core part of the Halo experience. And we just want to reassure people that although we didn't have split screen multiplayer in the tech preview, we will absolutely be shipping that day one for launch on all Xbox family devices. On PC, it's a slightly different story. There are just technical challenges around PC with a whole bunch of different configs and other issues. So we're not going to have split screen multiplayer on PC for launch, but it's absolutely something the team's excited about exploring post-launch.
Okay, Joseph. Well, thanks for touching on PC multiplayer split screen in particular. That's something that we've had questions about. Just a lot of feedback, obviously, even through MCC, which has been a great way for us to learn and gather additional feedback. But on that topic, you referenced a lot of feedback from the tech preview. we still have so much that we're sorting through together, right? So the community team, the support team, the development team, kind of actively working through that process where we identify all the different sort of key themes that we've heard and then work together with all the different leads and stakeholders to determine kind of how to action on these and how to prioritize them. But I did kind of want to just be clear for expectation setting that there's only so much that we're going to be able to action on now, but that's the beauty of being a live service.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, a lot of people play in the tech preview or, any of that, pre-release look at the game and wonder, hey, if I participate and I provide feedback, how much of this is actually going to be acted on by the development team? When it comes to the technical preview, that's exactly what it was. We wanted thousands of people to jump in, bang on it, help us identify what's wrong. And like you said, we're actioning on a ton of feedback from that test. It was super useful. And yes, some of the things we won't be able to do for launch, but you're right, that's part of being a service. And the good news is we have a year-long post-launch content and feature roadmap already worked out. We're already working on those things now. So yeah, some things won't land in a launch time frame, but some things, will just roll out over time. That's part of this Halo Infinite journey that we're kicking off together with fans.
Joseph, as part of this live service and this journey that we're going to be kicking off this holiday, not only is it exciting and important to think about new experiences, new content, but that relationship with our community and not only the feedback, but our ability and our commitment to being open and honest and just sort of making sure that we're in this together.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to that end, one of the reasons that we're here today as well is I want to talk to you about the campaign side of the game, specifically campaign co-op.
Like multiplayer is this burning heart of Halo, campaign co-op is fundamental to the Halo experience as well. I actually know if I told you this, Brian, but my son and I, in a failure of parenting, I have not played Legendary Halo with my son. He's 19 now. So a couple weeks ago, we started playing campaign co-op Legendary together. We just beat Halo 2. The Jackal snipers are still a delight. And I just had a ton of fun. And it reminded me just how essential that experience of playing campaign together with your family and friends, whether networked or split screen, really is. Unfortunately, as we focused the team for Shutdown and really focused on a quality experience for launch, we made the really tough decision to delay shipping campaign co-op for launch. And we also made the tough call to delay shipping Forge past launch as well.
Well, Joseph, clearly this was not a decision that you or the team has taken lightly, right? We know this is just an integral part of the Halo experience. So can you just talk through a little bit of kind of just the why, why was this a decision?
You and I talk about this a lot, and everybody in the studio has the same conversation, which is what is our number one priority? Well, our number one priority is making sure that whatever we ship, whenever we ship it, it meets the right quality bar. Across all platforms, Xbox devices, PC in all its different configurations. And when we looked at these two experiences, Campaign Co-op and Forge, we made the determination they're just not ready. And as a studio, we don't want to ship things if they're not ready so people can play them, have fun, have a nice, stable, performant experience. So we're going to keep Campaign Co-op and Forge in the oven for a little bit longer. And then when they're ready, we're going to release them as part of our seasonal roadmap next year.
So I want to talk about the roadmap in just a second, but I do want to acknowledge it's a little awkward. We're talking about things that are in for launch, and frankly, we don't have an official public launch date yet.
That is true.
But I did want to just reconfirm, and as we heard Phil Spencer, I think he made a reference recently, this game is we're committed to releasing this holiday.
Yes.
And we're pretty close, I think, to we're just working through some details right now on kind of what that real date is, right?
Yes, that is absolutely correct. We are 100% committed to releasing this holiday both campaign and our first season of free-to-play multiplayer. We just have to, like you said, work through a couple more details, and we'll be talking about our actual release date very soon.
So as we look at beyond launch, beyond this holiday at our seasonal roadmap, what kind of timing should we be thinking about in terms of co-op and Forge coming to Halo Infinite?
What we're targeting is to ship campaign co-op in Season 2, and then we're targeting to ship Forge in Season 3. And I know as we talk about seasons, I should probably explain that a little bit. I think for anybody who's been reading our blogs or has been engaged in Master Chief Collection or frankly has been playing any other live game, they're probably pretty familiar with the way seasons work. But timing-wise for us, a season is about 3 months. That's our goal, is to ship a season every 3 months. So when it comes to campaign co-op, our target is to ship co-op in Season 2 about 3 months after launch, And then our goal is to ship Forge in Season 3, which would be about 6 months after launch. But of course, all these plans are subject to change as we dial things in, but that's our goal right now.
For sure. And, a part of having this open and honest dialogue with our community is as the game team makes progress and development moves forward, we'll be able to provide updates and just sort of keep folks abreast of how things are going.
Absolutely.
Also should give a shout out that my understanding is Halo Insiders would have the opportunity to participate in some hands-on Forge ahead of release through flighting, similar to how we've been doing the tech preview for multiplayer this year.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think when it comes to Forge, maybe just a little bit more context for people to understand why we're taking a little bit more time with it. So the Forge tool is amazing. I was around at the beginning of Forge, and to see how it's progressed is really, really cool. And I can't wait to see what people begin to create with it. But as a tool set, it's really advanced, and it's going to hopefully give people the ability to create a whole bunch of new, innovative, novel experiences. But again, there are technical complexities there, and it's just going to take time to get it right. And on the co-op side, we have the opportunity to play campaign all the time. It's this wonderful, wide open, non-linear take on a Halo campaign, and it's going to offer so much more flexibility to take down banished bases from all kinds of different angles, to progress through the game in your own way to a certain extent. And at the same time, though, that's complicated when you think about save systems and all the technology that needs to drive this more non-linear experience. So in the co-op scenario, that's even more complicated, and that's another reason why it's going to take longer, just to make sure it's quality day one and people can jump in and play and have fun.
So speaking of things taking a little more time, I have to ask, as you and the team were reviewing the status of co-op and Forge, was there ever discussion about potentially delaying the entire game and taking more time to get these in first?
Yeah, we talked about doing that, but where we landed was, Halo Infinite is a live game, so it isn't really ever done. You know what I mean? It's going to progress and evolve from season to season. We talk about launch being the beginning of that journey, but to have a beginning, you need to pick a moment and actually begin, So ultimately, we decided we've been working on this game for a really long time. Our fans have been waiting for this game for a really long time. With solo, campaign, and our first season of free-to-play multiplayer in really good shape for holiday, we didn't want to delay anymore. Let's get started, and we'll continue to evolve from there, season to season.
So what is the team actively working on right now? What is the focus between now and launch?
So the team is in what we call Shutdown Mode, and what that means is essentially a lot of bug fixing, a lot of reviewing the game, playing, looking at areas where we still need work, whether it's on campaign or on multiplayer. And again, the goal is to make sure that on day one we deliver an awesome experience, whether you're playing on an 8-year-old Xbox One or a brand new cutting edge PC. So yeah, we're in review mode, really taking a close look at the game in the shutdown or polish period. And actually, something really wonderful has been happening recently where for the first time in a very long time, we've been able to gather together safely in person and sit down and review the game together. And we recorded some footage of that happening, so let's show that and people can get a sense of kind of how it looks like inside the studio now as we shut down the game.
Yeah, this is a behind-the-scenes look, raw, right? This is raw trench footage, and it looks like we just evacuated.
Yeah.
And we're just now kind of coming back into this vacant, sort of semi-trashed environment, right?
Yeah, with COVID, we did kind of evacuate the studio. And for a long time, Brian, it was almost impossible to safely gather and just sit down and review the game together. And that was super strange and super stressful because game creation is highly collaborative. So look, it's just a huge relief to be vaccinated and now do what we've always done at this phase in a project, which is sit down and play. It sounds so simple, but it's like a miracle that we're able to do this again.
Joseph, we have to give a huge shout out. You know how incredibly challenging this period has been.
Yeah.
And just, it is amazing to see people finally being able to come back and lean in. But just the fact that, removing all the desks and creating a safe, spaced out, environment to be able to do this in, or empowering the team to remote work and have the pipelines and infrastructure. So many people have worked so hard to allow this work to continue.
100%. And what you don't see in that footage that we showed, I mean, you saw all the 4 TVs set up, with different consoles plugged in each TV, different PCs plugged in. We're reviewing the game across all platforms at the same time, but you only saw the people in the room. There's actually a Teams meeting happening with like 30 or 40 people in the background, all watching screens, pausing, saying, hey, wait, go to Xbox One. I want to like look at that specifically. So it's this huge infrastructure effort, IT effort, just coming together across the entire studio, all teams to make it happen. And I mean, I'm just so thankful to the team working so hard to get this done. And like we said, it's a little weird, but it feels great. We're shipping the game.
All right, so we are in shutdown mode.
Yep.
The road to launch is in full swing. Of course, everyone wants to know, when can we see and hear more about this game?
Everybody wants to see campaign, especially campaign gameplay. We will absolutely show campaign gameplay before launch, but we just need to stay focused on shutdown mode. Once we're past that hurdle, we're going to be going after things like gameplay captures and trailers that will all be coming a little bit closer to launch.
Possible, could you just give us a little tease? Could I ask about Craig? Everyone wants to know anything to share about Craig. How's Craig doing?
I know we were joking about hair earlier, but I mean, all kidding aside, Craig's hair looks fantastic. So enjoy old, clean-shaven Craig while ye still can, because Craig's looking sharp these days.
All right, so I don't want to keep you longer than we need to. We got a lot of work to get done, clearly. But before we go, just any final kind of closing thoughts you would like to share with the community today?
Yeah, I mean, look, we know expectations for this game are high. For us in the studio and for fans, especially in this 20th anniversary year of Xbox and Halo. I just want everyone to know that we're working hard, we're having fun, and we really want to say thank you for your passion and your feedback, and when you push us. These kinds of conversations are great, and I love having them. We're super excited for launch, and we hope all our fans are too.
Well, thanks, Joseph. Again, also from me and the community team and the whole studio, truly thank you to our community. Just the passion and the unwavering support and understanding has been just inspirational, especially through some difficult times. I'm super excited about our upcoming technical preview. As a reminder, if you want an opportunity to go hands-on with Halo Infinite's multiplayer, help us test the game for launch, give us more feedback, kick the tires on our brand new big team battle, bigger and better than ever. Go to haloinsider.com. Anyone can sign up. Just a couple quick steps to jump through. We'll be having a bigger and better tech preview coming up. And additionally, sounds like we've got a lot of stuff on the horizon. This is a journey that's just beginning.
Indeed, we do.
And we need some folks to help us. So if you're watching this and you've got the skills, please go to 343industries.com. Check out our latest career openings. We are always looking to bring more people in to help us build the future of Halo. So, thank you very much for watching today. Stay tuned. Be sure to follow Halo on Twitter. Keep tabs on HaloWaypoint.com. We'll have a lot more to say and show in the very near future. Thank you very much.